This was at Dallas in the middle of the road by a studio that we rented for the workshop. I always tell people too, if you're going to shoot in the middle of the road, make sure you have a spotter because it is dangerous.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Photographer Profile. My name is Nathan Rupert, and I started this podcast to give photographers a worldwide platform to share their work and stories. My guest today is Keydrin. Hey, Keydrin, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
Good. Yeah, just please give the viewers an introduction about yourself and your photography.
All right. So I'm Keydrin Franklin. My photography is 924 Photography. And that's a pretty funny story. 924. I know people always ask, where did 924 come from? Me and my wife took a cruise, and I saw a photographer out on the deck, and he had a tripod and a camera. I asked him, I was like, hey, what are you doing? He said, I'm taking a long exposure, and all I saw was water and just a little glimpse of the port that we were going to. And then when I got back to the room, I asked my wife, I was like, hey, man, I got to get me a camera. I saw this guy on the top deck, and it was amazing. She was like, oh, God, not again. And so when we got back, we went to Best Buy, and it was on September the 12th. And that's when I got my first camera. And that's the short story. I didn't start out being a portrait photographer. I did landscapes and bugs, and then it morphed into portrait photography. So I've been shooting since 2011.
Oh, well, okay. Nice. A long time.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for new photographers, I always recommend people to go to Best Buy or some kind of camera shop so they can physically hold the camera and see how it fits in their hands. You know, you can go by reviews, but until you hold that camera in a physical store,
Absolutely.
that's what I recommend for people. So are you a full-time professional? Like photography is your main source of income?
I work as at a TV station, and I do like network control and coloring. I'm a colorist there too.
Oh, okay. Great. And do you have any hobbies outside of photography?
Absolutely. So I've always been extreme. So when we talk about hobbies, motorcycles. I love motorcycles. I love doing motorcycle stunts till I got hurt. And now I ride electric unicycles. So
electric unicycles. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, they're pretty fast. They go about 60 miles an hour.
I did not know that thing existed.
Yeah, it moves, man. It really, really goes.
So you're all good from your motorcycle accident? No more? Is it still
I
there?
still ride. No, I sold it, but I mean, I still ride from time to time.
Okay, cool. All right, well, let's not hold people up anymore. Let's look at your picture showcase here. 1 second. Let me share my screen. We have a lot to get through today. All right, so I picked this as your picture showcase. I think this is one of my favorite portraits that you did.
Ah, Luna. Yes, Miss Chris. Oh, absolutely.
So yeah, just tell us the story behind this photo and the model and your creative vision here.
With this portrait of Luna Chris, she's been one of my go-to models for a very long time out here in Texas. She's absolutely amazing. And for this one, it was at one of my workshops. I teach off-camera flash for workshops. And this particular one, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights. It was one boom over the top of her head. It was one camera right, and then it was one camera left lighting her hair, and then I had 2 lighting the background to give us that depth. Now in the image, the train wasn't there. I did add that train right there in AI, well, in Adobe Photoshop. I added the train because I felt like it just added more. So right there was pillars, but everything else was in the scene. So
and we're learning all the secrets behind your image with your AI and stuff like that. But it looks seamless. It looks like I couldn't tell a difference, right?
Yeah, I know. And then when I did it, I was surprised too, because I was like, I want a train here. She brought the suitcase. She was like, well, I got this suitcase. I was like, okay, well, let's just use this. And then what I'll do is I already knew it in my mind that I didn't want to have to composite this image. I do know how to composite. So AI just sped up this workflow. I used a generative fill to create this train look, and it did it perfectly after 2 or 3 tries. So
That luggage is crazy. It looks straight out of a movie set, how it's beat up and gone
She
through and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. For the luggage, she goes shopping at thrift stores and outlet places. She gets all that stuff. Now she is my creative director for photography shoots that's going forward for 2025.
Wow. I need to take some off-camera flash lessons with you. This is great. I really like it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Let me share the next one. One second. This is a cool image, cowboy theme here. Cowgirl, actually, sorry.
Ah, yes. So that is Diana, the model nurse. She's from Chicago. And Diana, we've been working together for years. She came down. This was at another one of my workshops, my all camera flash workshops. And we used two lights. She had this outfit. Before she came down here, we planned out to know which outfit we wanted to do. She was like, well, what is going to be the theme? And most times I let the models pick their wardrobe. They'll show it to me. They'll send me images or they'll send me videos of the outfits and I'll either approve them or I'll be like, all right, can we do something else? Can we add something here? But Diana's pretty good. She does that. And the cowboy hat, I don't even think that was hers. It was somebody else's at the workshop. I saw somebody wearing it and I was like, hey, can we give that to her? And she killed it. On the lighting, we did a bare bulb on camera right, and it was on one of those big cheetah booms. Have you ever heard of cheetah stand?
I have not. I don't know much about off-camera
Lighting?
lighting. That's one
Okay.
weak area of my photography. I'm still learning about. So yeah.
Well, so cheetah stand has this C stand, and it's a super boom. It's boom. It's more used for video. So when I'm on set and doing video stuff, but I decided to bring it out because it actually holds the lights, and I don't have to worry about it falling over, tipping over because it's that big. It is heavy. I boomed that kind of camera left behind her, and then we had another 36-inch camera left facing her, and we brought it down. It was up underneath the hat because, as you can see on the picture, I don't have that many shadows that's harsh up underneath it because I brought the light down and I feathered it. When I'm doing my portrait photography, I like to feather the light. I don't like it to be direct on and harsh. I like it to kind of wrap around my subject's face. And then everything else, the sky I think was blown out. I did replace the sky there because sometimes you're in a location that you just can't do it. And the time of day that we were doing this workshop was around noon.
Yeah,
So
that's the worst
it's kind of
lighting.
hard. And so that's why I shoot the most. That's where all of my images are shot. I hardly ever shoot in the morning or the evening. I shoot at midday.
Wow.
That's why they come to my workshops because I give them that versatility as far as being able to shoot at any time of the day.
Now, did you ask her not to look at the camera, or that's just how the picture came out? Do you prefer them to look at the camera or not to look at the camera for the models?
It really just depends on the look we're going. So one tip that I can give everybody, I'm an ambassador for Geekoto, and the owner, he was a world-renowned wedding commercial photographer. He gave me some advice one day in fashion photography. The eyes follow the nose. If the model is looking here, sometimes the model will look off, but they want the eyes to go back, and then you get that white in the eyes. But her eyes went completely closed, so they were open just slightly. But the previous shot before that, she was looking like at the light.
Right.
But I just picked that one because that's the one I like the most.
Okay. Just trying to learn as many tips here as I can. I do some portrait shoots every now and then. It's always good to see how different people, pose the models and have them look or not look, or, you got the perfect timing, right? With the hat barely coming.
Well, I did
the top
direct her
of her
for
head
that.
there.
She did it, and then what I'll do is I may take a shot and then I'll go back and review my images because I see a lot of people, they spray and pray. So they'll go out there and they'll just bam, 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 bam. I don't shoot like that. I shoot and then I examine the image. If I like that particular pose, then I'll go show the model. And then I'll go back and I say, okay, so I want to work on this pose. Let's nail this down so we can get this right. I told her the hat just a little bit above her head. And then I directed her while I was shooting because I had a whole crowd of people around me too at this workshop. She did it and I was able to capture it flawlessly.
Yeah, that can be a little pressure if you're doing a workshop by yourself. You have other models just standing around waiting, waiting for you to finish up with them. So
Yeah, it is. But I've taught a few people and now they're like my right hand people. So they know how I shoot. Normally when we have a big crowd of people, like 20 or 25 people at the workshops, everybody be trying to get my time. I break them up and I tell them at the beginning of the workshop, no matter who you're with, you're going to get with me as well. But these guys, they actually know how I shoot. I do the demonstration for the first 35, 40 minutes of showing people hands on, making sure that they getting their settings right, their lighting right, their light position right. Then I start walking around and helping others.
oh, okay. That's a good idea. All right, let me stop sharing. Let me ask you a question or two here before we look at your next pictures. What excites you to go out there and shoot, to do these workshops, to do this photography? What excites you and keeps you to keep doing this?
It don't really excite me now, if I'm being honest, because I've been doing it so long, because I've moved into films. I do a lot more film stuff now. But
Okay.
back then, it's just the excitement of people learning and then seeing people grow. I have this one guy, it's a CRG photos. He's on Instagram and he bought my online tutorials, right? Because I got asked all the time and I couldn't be in more places than once. And, people wanted me to go to here to do a workshop, and that costs money. That costs a lot of money. You got to pay for lodging, and then you got to find the models, and then you got to house those models, or you got to pay them. I mean, it's just a lot. So I made online tutorials where I
Oh,
hired somebody to come help me film. We made everything that I do from editing and to off camera flash. And that had helped me help other people. Now when I see them post and they tag me and they be like, man, you the one taught me these. And then they're like surpassing me because I'm like, wow, that's great. So that's what keeps me going for sure.
you have apprentices all over the place. That's great that you're passing that knowledge
Yeah, for sure.
down
Each
like
one
that.
teach one.
You mentioned some advice that you got. What's the best piece of photography advice besides the one that you already mentioned that you've got from a mentor or just that you've learned on your own that you can pass down to people looking to get to doing these type of shoots?
Is to never give up, because it was times, and social media can be very discouraging. It has been times to where I wanted to quit. When you get to that point, you should just keep moving on. You just push through it, because where you feel like that you're not growing every day, even today, I try to make myself better than I was yesterday. That's the best advice I got from somebody was, hey man, keep pushing. If you don't start today, and 2 or 3 months down the road and then you start, just think how far you would have been if you would have started the day you said you wanted to start. Every single day I just try to gradually get bits and pieces of it to put it all together.
Yeah, I feel like every photographer goes through that. They look back on their images they took 10 years ago and like, man, what was I doing? What was I thinking? Like
And
horizon's all messed up or the lighting is blown out. You're just like, man, what was I doing back then?
listen, when I first started out in portrait photography, after I got my first camera, I started looking at YouTube and then Photoshop, and I wanted to learn how to put makeup on. Then I started taking pictures of my wife and then trying to edit, and she said I made her look like Homie the Clown. I would have sent you that image, but I decided not to because I don't want to be in the
Probably,
doghouse.
yeah, that's probably for the for the
For the
best
best.
idea.
uh,
All right. Let me share your next one. Like I said, we got a lot to go through here. This girl's super cool. I don't want to mess against her.
oh, Corey. Oh my God. I met Corey last year and she is amazing. Amazing. This particular shoot, I have a YouTube video on this one, but this particular shoot, I did this for Sigma. I was doing a job for Sigma, the 70-200. The 70-200 is a sports lens, but since I shoot portraits, I like to shoot portraits with longer focal length lenses. So I shot this image at 200 millimeters, and it was on a monopod with the A7R5. I had Gikoto's 48-inch softbox double diffuse. And if anybody knows my work, I always like to double diffuse my work because the more levels of diffusion you have, the softer the light is going to be. Right. I took a hard light from the back and I had a 7-inch reflector because I wanted that hard edge. This was the very first time me and Corey worked together and she just nailed it. She nailed it every single time. And when I took the first shot, I was like, oh my God, do you see this girl's skin? I even went up to her. I was like, you have the most beautiful skin that I've ever seen. So it just makes it that much easier to edit and grade her skin. It was flawless. Then that same day I fell out, so I got overheated. So that's the story with this. And
so you didn't end up having to go to the ER. You survived, or you picked yourself back up.
Yeah, I survived that day, but I was moving 100 miles an hour.
I was saying, I like how her jean jacket matches her jean shorts there.
Yeah, she did that. She has a really healthy Instagram page. She has like 95K. And on her Instagram page, she has two. She has a photography page and then an Instagram page. I think it's Curly Corey. With her Instagram page, she does fashion. She does all these fashion companies. They send her gear and she's a fashion content creator. I already knew I was going to like her wardrobe whenever she brought it.
What made you decide to do like center composition on this shot? Like having her just right there in the middle.
For one, it was because the light stands were in there. The light stands is right outside the frames. I decided to go vertical on this one.
Okay. That makes
now
sense.
Here's another tip. So just say, for instance, I did want to just capture the whole wide. What I would do is I would put that on a tripod and I would take 2 shots. I would take a shot with her in there and then I would back everything out with the light still on and I would take another shot. So then when I got it in the Photoshop, all I have to do is mask.
Oh, okay. Cool. All right, let's take a look at the next one.
I'm anxious to see which one you're going to pick next. Oh, man.
This is a beautiful dress here.
Let me tell you, Coco, she's the GOAT. She is the GOAT. Coco. I met her kind of early on in my career. She came to one of my workshops and this was at another workshop. It's funny how you're picking all like the majority of the images that I sent from the workshops. Some models are very animated, right? They really give it to you. And I love those models that actually do it, especially like the ones on the runway. I don't know if the ones on the runway do that, but like when they exaggerate their pose, I feel like it just looks so much better on camera, and that's what she gave me.
I like the tree colors changing, the fall vibe here. Where's this shot at?
This was at Dallas in the middle of the road by a studio that we rented for the workshop. I always like shooting in the middle of the road. I always tell people too, if you're going to shoot in the middle of the road, make sure you have a spotter because it is dangerous. And if a car did come, they blocked them for just a second, but you don't want to hold up traffic. You want to get in and get out. But luckily that day wasn't really that busy. But if you are going to shoot in the middle of the road, do it safely because you can get hurt real quick.
Yeah. And this road looks idyllic, right? I don't see any trash, nothing laying on. It's like the yellow brick road.
It was pretty clean. I mean, I probably cleaned it up some. I don't remember what all I did to the image, but I probably cleaned up some little rocks here and there, but it wasn't much. I know the road is clean for sure.
Well, let me ask you another question before we look at some more images. What do you want to happen to all your photos or your videos when you die, when you're no longer here? Have you ever thought about your legacy, what you want to happen to all this stuff?
Hey, listen, baby, my legacy gonna be there. People still gonna be watching me no matter what. But my wife, I have no idea. When I'm gone, I don't know what she's gonna do with the images. By that time, I might be a great photographer and they may put me in a Hall of Fame or something. I don't know. Hopefully.
You're not too worried about it.
Nah, not really. I'm more worried about now film. I want to make movies and stuff like that. So making an imprint in that industry now. So
okay, let's look at your next one here. This is a super close up on this model here.
Luna, absolutely.
Those eyes are crazy. Those blue eyes, striking.
Her Her eyes are like that, and they were enhanced just a little bit more. That's one of the images that took me 3.5 hours. We were doing a video for Oben, the tripod head people, and Luna came out and she had her hair all curly that day. You remember earlier when I said the eyes follow the nose? You see how the eyes are following the nose here?
Yeah.
Her
Yeah.
eyes are not cutting to the actual camera. If I wanted that, I would have just slightly moved her chin and told her the eyes follow the nose. With the editing process, that dodge and burn took me 2 hours. Her makeup was still done fine, but it took me 2 hours because I contoured the face. And then once I contoured the face, went in, and the eyes took me about 30 minutes because I was in each pixel just dodging and burning to enhance what's already there of her beautiful eyes that she have. And the hair took me like probably another 30 or 40 minutes to dodge and burn.
Wow. I love how her blue necklace matches her eyes too. I don't know if she did that on purpose.
She probably did. I'm gonna ask her after we get off here. I'm gonna text her and be like, Luna, that necklace, did you know that she was gonna do that?
So. It works too. Yeah, she has the rings and the tattoos, makes her a little mysterious, you know.
Absolutely, for sure. That's Luna
awesome.
is great.
All right, let me get the next one.
You got my heart racing because I don't know what you're going to pick because I forgot what I even sent you. So this is in Grapevine, and it was at a park, and we actually got kicked out that day because we weren't supposed to be. Well, and this is the thing, before I tell about how we shot this image, and some parks out here, you have to pay. They want you to get a permit or whatever to pay to come in. Well, I asked the lady once we was rolling in, I say, hey, we're going to be doing like a YouTube video, and we're also going to be shooting photographs. Is it cool? She was like, yes, it should be fine. I was like, okay, fine. We go out and we started shooting, and we started at the top of this ledge, and down here, it was the cove that was there. She was in a little cove and the other people were in the water. What I did was I cut out half of it, and then I had AI to add me that sky, and then just add the blue to go in the background to make it look like she was in the ocean here. So this is Aubrey. She likes to cut her eyes a lot. I didn't mind this image for her cutting her eyes. To me, I felt like it worked. She does have some that the eyes did follow the nose, but I felt she just nailed it. What brought this image together was the color grade. I got to stress to people, it's a difference between color correction and color grading, right? I always color correct my images before I do anything. That's like the white balance, the exposure, and maybe even the skin. Then from that, I put my stamp on it, which will be color grading. That's where I came with this more gold tone for this image.
You said this was in Texas?
Yeah, it was at a lake.
Okay.
Baby, what's that lake called? Lake Grapevine? No?
Oh, Lake Grapevine.
Yeah, Lake Grapevine.
Okay. Okay. Nice. All right. Let's look at the next one here. Now, she has she has a look here. I love the coat flying off the side there. Did you have a fan blowing it? Invested a fan?
No. Actually, she did that herself. Okay. So, yeah, her Instagram is The Rain. So we call her Rain. We were doing a video for a company, Glide Gear. What we did was we had a Godox 8600 Pro, camera left, and a 7-inch reflector, and I had that backed up maybe like a foot away from the scrim or maybe a little bit further, and I shot through the scrim. Then on the opposite side, I decided to go and I used a 7-inch reflector because I wanted that hard light. I didn't want too soft lights because when you got a harder light source coming from the opposite side on the hair, it kind of makes it seem like the sun will be there. To me, it adds a better contrast as far as light goes. Then what I did was I enhanced the flare in Photoshop, and then I dodged and burned. I think this image probably took me 2.5 hours.
Reminds me of, this is Michael Jackson.
Yeah, I'm bad.
Right here.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And he, he usually wears the hat too. He tips his hat and stuff like that. This is the perfect Michael Jackson pose here.
Now, since that shoot, her, Luna, Chris, a lot of those all have their own girl model group now. So,
interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let me ask you a couple more questions before we see the final pictures here. If you could shoot any celebrity as a portrait shoot, alive or dead, what celebrity would you love to do a model shoot with? Do you have any favorites?
I would want to shoot Denzel Washington.
Okay. Any reason, particular reason?
He's just iconic to me. I've always been a fan of Denzel. I would love to capture him. Yes.
What kind of location and outfits and stuff do you imagine doing that type of shoot with him?
Since Denzel is well versed, I would probably ask Denzel, "Hey, I need the Equalizer look. I need the Training Day look, and then I need a Love look." I would have like 3 different themes for him for sure.
Put him to work.
Oh, absolutely. We're gonna do it like if he's on set for sure.
Yeah, nice. And what aspect of, I know you're transitioning into video, but what aspect of photography do you feel like you need the most improvement in, or you really want to learn or work on? Is there anything that you feel like in photography that you're still missing?
Yeah, I feel like I'm missing a lot every single day. The more I'm surfing on social media, the more I feel like I'm far behind. People come to me and say, "Oh my God, I want my images to be where you are. They are so great." You know what I'm saying? I feel like I'm just okay, and I feel like I see other people's stuff, and I'm like, "Oh my goodness, man, their stuff is way better." I've always been this person that I never become complacent. I'm always looking for inspiration on Instagram, TikTok, or whatever, seeing people's stuff. So improving, I'm gonna say in every area, all day long, every
Okay.
day.
Yeah, I mean, they do say comparison is the thief of joy, right? You got to be a little careful on comparing yourself, but yeah, every photographer does that.
And some people that you see just coming up on Instagram, they could be already seasoned, but they just haven't been on social media. A lot of people try to look at the likes that people have, but not the actual experience that they have. Then they blow up really quick and you wonder why. And you're like, how did they blow up so quick? That's because they've been in the game for a very long time. They just now come into the social media game.
It's a beauty privilege too, right? If you have a model or a beautiful girl post a picture, it's going to get 5 times more likes than the average Joe Smo, right?
Well, when I go into my analytics, I have a lot of men on my page, and I've built my 924 page around shooting models. When I go and do reels and stuff, it really doesn't get that much traction because the people who are on my page are looking for my model content. Prime example, if I was to post an image today of a model, it's probably going to get 2,000 or 3,000 likes versus if I post a man on there, the image will be really good. It'll probably get 400 or 500. Or if I post a reel, it may only get 100 because most of the people that are here to learn lighting and or seeing the models for sure.
That's the reality. It's just life, right? What can you do?
For sure. Yeah, I know, right?
All right, I think we have 2 more pictures here.
Oh man, you got me scared here. I don't know what you're finna pick out. I'm like, oh man.
Final countdown.
I'm always like, give me a drum roll, please. Let's see what we got.
I mean, people can't get tired of seeing beautiful models and great pictures, right? I mean, come on.
Oh yeah, no. And before you show the picture, that is correct. So beautiful models bring more clients. I have a lot of clients that will message me on Instagram because I do shoot beautiful models. It is a very attractive page. Clients want to come, hey, can you shoot my birthday shoot, or can you come do my event? I get that all the time. So it is an appeal for sure. Absolutely.
This is a cool little, is this a natural swing from the tree? Here?
That's all natural. This image was shot in 2023. We were in Puerto Rico. I worked for Fort Worth Camera and Ambassador, and they sent me out there to do a workshop out there. So we did a 4 or 5 day workshop out there in Puerto Rico, and we hired 2 models, and she was one of the models, and she was absolutely great. So this was in Old San Juan. As we were walking along, I saw a graffiti wall, and then over on one side, the left side, I saw this tree with these vines coming down. I was like, oh my God, that would be dope to shoot. I had already envisioned her sitting right there. She changed clothes, she put that hat on, and I was like, well, I want this image to be dynamic, but I want to shoot on the shadow side. I'm shooting to the left of the lights. I didn't use a big light source because it would have been really soft. We used a smaller light source. Then we had another person behind her with another smaller softbox to give us that nice edge lighting behind. And that's how that image was crafted. And everything else was color graded in Photoshop.
You should have had her like stand on it and jump off it or something. That would have been
You trying to
cool.
give me a lawsuit, ain't you? You trying to give me a lawsuit.
No, I like how the hat matches. I think it matches the belt, right? I like that.
I may have changed the color on the belt just slightly to match the hat. I'm pretty sure I did because I'm very color aware of when I'm editing. Sometimes they may not actually have that particular color on, but I'll change it to fit the scene. I will ask them, is this for a brand? You know what I'm saying? If it's for a brand, then I'm going to leave it alone. But if it's not and I have free creativity, then I will say I'm going to slightly change the color here and there. Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, let's look at the last one here.
All right, here we go.
We got through a lot. This almost looks like somewhere in Balboa Park, San Diego. Okay. This is behind the scenes shot.
Yes. Okay. So this is the behind the scenes shot. This was at another workshop, and I wanted to show the group that by having lights in doesn't stop you. I didn't use AI. AI wasn't even around when I even shot this image. So you would have had to do compositing, you know, like from scratch on here. As you can tell, I have that light super close. I brought the lights in super close in. I was on a monopod because I knew I was going to take 2 shots. I took this shot and then I had my voice activated light stands, my humans, to back out of the frame. Then I shot it again and then I combined them in post. And now you can show the next image because I knew I wasn't going to be able to composite those rails without having them. I wanted it to keep it as natural as possible. So I'll take 2 shots. And that's how this image came.
That's cool. You're a wizard. How many hours of your life have you spent behind the editing?
Oh, it's been a lot. My wife would tell you when I first started out, bro, listen, I would get off work at midnight and then I would come in. I wouldn't go to bed till like 4 a.m. I had a notepad. My wife would tell you I had a notepad big that I was just jotting down notes. Everything that I learned off of YouTube, I would jot it down and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do this week. This is what I'm going to learn this week. I mean, she may still have it somewhere. I don't know where it is, but I mean, that could be some iconic thing if I ever become like super famous, having that whole big old thing in a little case or something. This is where 924 started. So I edit the lights out where nothing is AI there. That's the complete scene. And I brighten up and then I did some dodge and burn. And I just enhanced some colors. And that's the image that I got from there.
Where's this location? This is at like a museum or a park or somewhere?
No, so this is in Las Colinas. It's called the Las Colinas Canal Riverwalk. But yeah, that's one of my favorite images too of that year. And she's a singer.
The lights above her head kind of give her this elevation, right? Like she's a
for sure.
I don't know. She's a superstar. She's rising up. She's a star. I don't know.
I like that analogy you gave because like now you gave me a whole new perspective on this image. I'm like, now I can see what you're talking about. And it's always great to get other people's perspective on an image. So that's great.
Super cool. All right. I have one more question for you before we wrap things up here. Any crazy drama on any of your model shoots? Any wild, weird stuff that's happened to you out there in the field during all these photo shoots that you can think of?
Only one. And that was a long time ago. I'm not going to disclose the model's name, but she was pretty much something else. And that was very early on. That was at a workshop. She was just gave me a wrong vibe. From that point on, I always make sure that I have somebody with me, where this is my wife or my partner Samantha, that comes out and helps me on my shoots, or now Luna Chris. I always have some other female there because I shoot a lot of females, or at least somebody there. I keep the drama down, and no matter if I got a client shoot or if I'm just doing one for me, if you ever come out to one of my shoots, I'm turned up to 10 all the time.
I'm ready to go. Bring me in, coach.
Bring me in, coach. Put me in, coach, for sure.
All right. I think we're done here. What's the best way for people to find you? How do you prefer people reach out to you? Instagram, a website? How do you prefer people reach out?
You can hit me up on that IG at 924 Photography.
Okay. Any final thoughts before we wrap things up here?
I got one final thought. Hey, what you're doing here is great, Nathan. Keep it up. You got a great podcast. I'm excited to see this podcast, but I'm excited to see your future podcast and who you have on it. I see great things, and I really appreciate you having me on.
Awesome. Well, subscribe to the channel.
I got you.
Everybody's promoting their podcast these days, so I appreciate you.
For sure.
All right, man. Thank you so much for taking time out of your weekend to do this. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome, man. I'll see y'all next time.